Great. So the last few weeks, we've been talking about different revenue activities and different components of driving digital revenue. Today, we're going to talk a lot about handling objections. And so we're going to go through this. It's going to be sort of a stepwise approach. If there's any objections that you've run into as you're out selling or that have been relayed to you from salespeople, go ahead and share them with us now. We've got a number that we're going to cover, but we want to make sure that we don't miss yours. Go ahead and start typing them in. And to fundamentally approach handling objections, we're going to start with, what businesses need. Just the real basics. Why do they advertise? What are they trying to accomplish? Then we're going to address your objections. Now, these may be objections you actually have, or they could be things that are holding you back. So we're going to quickly address those. And then finally, we're going to come around to the business objections. If you don't believe, you can't transfer that belief to someone else. So as we dig in, fundamentally, businesses have four modern day needs. They must exist and be present. They need to be prominent. They need to promote, and they need to retain customers. It used to be hanging your shingle did basically all of these. If you were in the right place, that handled this, but things are more complicated today. Presence means a physical presence. It could mean a website. It could mean Facebook. Prominence is how you rank in Google or show up on social media. Promotion, obviously, is where most of our publishers live, especially our print publishers have lived. And then retention is about loyalty and keeping customers coming back. Today, these things are pretty intertwined. You can't separate them out very easily. So your solution that you offer needs to address them effectively. Now, what that means is that this is all about audience. If you are in Texas and an advertiser is trying to serve Virginia, you're kind of out of luck. Doesn't matter how good of a promotion or what your audience is or what your price is, it doesn't matter. But given that you've got the right audience, you can reach them in print if you have a print component, your website, email, Facebook, and more. And so the themes that we've talked about with the packages before will really allow you to handle that. Now, if you haven't watched the video on packaging and pricing, you need to get a good sense of that. I'm not going to get into it here, but you need to have a full understanding of what your product is and what the value is of that. But then you need to really understand why people find you. Now, if you're not posting content or you're not promoting your website, you're not doing anything, then people probably aren't going to find you. So you need to address that fundamentally. But there's sort of 6 ways people find you. They go through your site because they like you. I go to ESPN.com almost every day because I'm a sports guy. Search engines. If they find you when they search for City View, that's fine. But if they find you when they search for yoga classes in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that's better. That's SEO. And so content drives that. Likewise with social media, when people read your content, if they share it, more people will read your content and they will likely share it. It's a virtuous cycle here. Turns out social media also feeds search engines. Obviously, friend referrals. Hey, I read this article. You should check it out. Email newsletters where they subscribe to you. It's a very powerful and often overlooked medium. We've talked about this in our previous office hours. And of course, offline calls to action. It could be a billboard. It could be a magazine. It could be a newspaper. It could be anything. But all these work together to drive traffic. Now, why they engage with you carries a number of, well, there's different reasons. News, obviously, news information. Sometimes we say timely updates. Sometimes they can get things from you they can't get anywhere else. On the complete far end of the spectrum from that, sometimes they get things from you that they can get anywhere else, but you've filtered it down to the things that people in your market care about. Or maybe it's things to do like events or guides or freebies. Understanding fundamentally why people come to your site and how they get there is critical for you to be able to sell your digital packages. Because I tell you what, most local businesses, they don't understand how people find your site or come to your site because they don't understand how that happens on their own site. Now, if you're in print, we've got the whole print to web side of things. Go watch that webinar. But leveraging print is a fantastic tool to drive traffic and to sell from. But then what are we selling? Well, we've talked about these prices. We've talked about the things that you can sell. There's a lot. And if you show it like this, people don't understand it. If you don't really understand what the value is, you can't convey it. So while some people see this. I want you to be able to convey this. A banner ad. What is the benefit? What is the benefit for you? What is the benefit to the client? The same for sponsored content, for featured events, social promotions, and the list goes on. Again, we've covered much of this in previous topics, but I really want you to understand how this plays into handling objections. And I want you to understand how they work together. If you run a social promotion, how does it get represented on my website and on Facebook? How does it go out via email, and if there's a print component? So understanding this will be key to conveying the value of what you bring, because sometimes the value is the execution. Of course, we're not about selling ads. We're trying to solve problems. The problem that your advertisers have is fundamentally they want to attract more customers, or they want to maintain their customers by spending less money or time or energy or something. So what are some good questions that you can start with? These questions are actually great ways to deal with objections, or rather to have your customers deal with the objections, not to mention get to know them better. So what are your business goals? There's a big difference in selling to somebody who wants to double their business this year as opposed to someone who wants to spend more time with their grandkids. Understanding that will help you understand what you're selling. Are you selling them more work, or are you selling them freedom? What are you trying to accomplish with your advertising promotion? A new business is trying to let people know they exist. An established business is trying to demonstrate their leadership in the industry. Or maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe the business is prepping for a sale, and they want everyone to know about them so that when they sell, they can get top dollar. You never know. What activities or what digital activities are you currently investing in? If someone already has a robust portfolio of marketing activities, you don't have to worry about education quite as much. You might be having to deal with differentiation or streamlining. If someone does no advertising, you might need to ease them into the pool, so to speak. What do your customers love about you? Isn't it nice when people ask you this question? It's like them saying, why don't you brag for a few minutes? But it also gives you an insight, because the thing that customers love about a business is the thing that business should be promoting. It's a differentiator. You give them a great venue to brag about themselves without it looking like bragging. Hey, who wouldn't buy into that? What's the biggest challenge you face? Now, this can be asked generally or specifically with regard to marketing. It could be hiring. It could be employee retention. Wouldn't you know it? There's actually marketing things you can do to support that. Or it could be, I'm really struggling because I keep hearing about SEO and social, and I don't know how to handle that. And then on that note, what are you currently doing to improve SEO and social? Now, asking the question as is, not defining SEO, will be at least a little telling. If they say, what's SEO? Then they probably don't know what search engine optimization is, and they may need to know that there's things they can do to rank higher in Google. But the other thing you want to know is who's doing the work. If this is a sole proprietor who spends lots of time in their business, wants more time with their grandkids, and they're the ones doing SEO and social media, that's in conflict. That's time-consuming activity that should be moved off. And then what's going really well for you right now? You don't want to come in selling against the thing that they love. You're just going to run into a buzzsaw. So the whole key is, let's find a way to sort of go with the flow of what people are looking for. I'm going to revisit some of these as we go through the next few minutes in the common objections. So let's get started. I'm going to show a question that people get, and then I'm going to say what I think they mean and give you a couple ways to address it. So a common question is, how much traffic do you have? Now, if you're a publisher that knows you don't have very much traffic, you might be saying this yourself, we don't have very much traffic. But what someone's often meaning when they ask this, well, first, it's a knee-jerk reaction, right? It sounds like the right question to ask. How much traffic do you have? How many hits? If you hear hits, by the way, you know they don't know the answer. They don't understand the question they're asking. But what they really want to know is, are you going to reach the right people? Will my message matter? Statistics don't answer this for them. 11,000 visitors, I know that's not a number, 17,000 visitors doesn't solve their problem. Getting them in the hands of the right visitors in the right market with a coherent message, that's what they need to understand that you can do. You need to understand that's what you can do and how. I don't have the budget. Well, I've had a lot of publishers tell me they go out and they go talk to their existing advertisers, and this is like the first thing out of their mouth. But there's a funny thing. Right now, the average local business spends about 25% of their marketing budget on digital, which means if you can offer something of value, you can grow your revenue 25% without adding anyone new, but they don't have the money. What they're really saying is, I don't want to pay more for what I already get from you, or I don't see the value. I think it's more often the latter part, especially with print reps. So you need to do a great job of conveying, this is not give us more money. This is when you give us more money, you get more value. And let's understand what that is. I don't have time right now. This is, boy, people are busy. But they're always busy. When's that going to change? They might say, I don't believe you have something valuable enough for me to pay attention. That's not as nice of a way to say it. Or, I think you are wasting my time. So you need to be able to quickly convey what the value is. If you ask some of those questions, hey, John, I know you're trying to get a little bit more time to spend with your grandkids, but you obviously need to keep the business going. Here's a couple of things that we can do for you that can free you up and keep the coffers full enough. And so coming in and being able to address those questions can be huge, especially for the folks who might cut you off right away. How about this one? I'd like to get more likes. Well, first let me ask you, what is a like? What is the value? How does that translate? But it's kind of like how much traffic you get. Likes sound good. Social media is really popular right now. There's a lot of buzz about it. Everyone's talking about it. I'm on Facebook. More likes, hey, that makes me look more successful. That'll make me more money, right? Well, whenever you hear something like, I want to get more likes, that begs the question, why? I mean, I understand that, yes, you'd like to have a thriving Facebook page, but what's your goal? How do you want to use Facebook? I had a publisher complain to me that after 6 months, their Facebook page had 5 likes, their employees. And seeming to insinuate that something about our suggestions wasn't working. When I went to said publisher's Facebook page, I saw something quite striking. Their one and only Facebook post was 7 months old. What is it that people would be liking? What benefit would it bring to you if you had 1,000 likes or 100,000 likes? You're not posting. There is literally nothing that comes to you from that if you're not going to post content. So what is it that you want about more likes? And then that likely leads to additional questions. Sometimes you'll go to a restaurant or a theater or a pretty hip organization, and they'll have more fans than you. And you may know this, so this may keep you from going to them. Oh, they're gonna call me out on this one. But so what? What they're really saying is, I think I can do a better job than you. Though they're probably indicating a lack of understanding of how social media works, which I'll address in a moment. Or they could say something like, I'm going to focus on social media, or why can't I do it myself? This is particularly true of your non-advertisers, the folks you're already calling on. Like I have more fans than you do, there's a misunderstanding of social media and how it works and what your role as a local publisher can be in this equation. But really what they're getting at is somebody said it's free and everyone's on, so why should I give you money? It really comes down to this. I don't understand why I should give you money. Well, here's the thing. It used to be someone likes your page and you post, they see it, or at least they couldn't see it. But right now, or at least as of a few months ago, so it's probably worse now, the average person on Facebook is pushed 1,500 messages a day. From friends, from family, from you. But they only consume about 300 a day. So only 1 out of 5 messages can literally get through this funnel. And so the average reach of a Facebook page as of the beginning of the year was just over 6% of your fan base. We know it's been coming down since then. And Facebook has announced their target is 2%. What does this mean? It means if you have 1,000 fans, your average post will reach 20 people. So if I want to get more likes, what does that do for me? If I'm a restaurant and I reach on average 20 people, does adding 10 more, 100 more, 1,000 more likes, is that going to make me very much more money fundamentally by itself? Or if I have 5,000 fans, 10,000 fans, fill in the blank, big number, and you got a tenth of it. You as a publisher have 2,000, but they have 20,000. If they post something, are they going to reach very many people? They'll reach 400 people out of 20,000 on average. You know, if it's a good post, they'll reach a good deal more. But you as a publisher, there's a funny thing about the way Facebook works. Interesting, engaging content reaches more people. And you, as a publisher, live in the interesting, engaging content area. You can share news and information and events and social promotions and other things that most businesses can't. So when you can engage them and offer them something of value that includes social media, your post on a whole will reach many more people per post than theirs. But even fundamentally, even if it were possible that all of your likes were the same people as all of their likes, Facebook still isn't going to show everyone everything. So you add and enhance what they can do on their own. And of course, the last question, I'm going to do social media on my own. Really? You are going to do social media? You're going to spend the time necessary to create enough content to break through the noise of Facebook to regularly engage your audience? How are you going to do that? What's your content strategy? Now, I'm being obviously very confrontational in how I'm presenting this, but this is how you should be thinking about it. They're in the business of doing whatever they do. You're in the business of content and engagement. You have a unique opportunity to engage. And oh, by the way, there's things you can do to help them with all these areas, but it shouldn't be their main thrust, their main focus of media. Now, some people will ask about tracking or measuring or seeing if it's successful. Historically, it's been incredibly difficult to track any media, ever, except for the occasional coupon. But even there, you know that the value of a coupon goes beyond just the people who bring it in. It has other benefits. But what they're really asking is, will I make more money? Now, you can't necessarily track everything, but I want to do a little exercise with you. If I say I need a Kleenex, what am I really asking? I need a tissue. Kleenex and tissue are synonymous, but Kleenex is a brand. If I say I want a Coke, that may mean I want a Coke brand soda pop, or it may mean I want a soda, and Coke is synonymous with that. It turns out that the industry leaders benefit from the advertising of any business. So every local business should strive to become an industry leader, or at least a thought leader in what sets them apart, because it will make them more money. If you can become Kleenex, that is valuable within your industry. You can help people connect the dots, whether it's thought leadership through sponsored content, fun and values alignment through social promotion. There's differentiation there. I don't get it. The most simple four-word sentence they could say. Well, you failed. You failed to convey value. They don't understand the benefit that you offer here. Now, this could happen in print, although I think most people fundamentally get, okay, it goes in print, people see it, there's something to that. But for some reason with digital, there have been so many layers of confusion introduced that now, why would I buy an ad on your site? Which comes back to, does anyone go to your site? Which comes back to, will it make me more money? And so you need to really focus on selling the right thing. Your audience that solves a problem for them. If you go in selling statistics, you're going to get, I don't get it. Because statistics aren't that exciting. I mean, they could sound like a big number, but it's just simply not that exciting. Or they could say, I don't have the budget. This was in there already. But I'm saying it within another context. I don't see the value. I don't have the budget to throw away. If you show me something really valuable, I can come up with the money. But for this, I don't understand it, so I'm not going to give you any of it. And so this is the key, you know, people want to have the problem solved. And to fundamentally do it, you need to really understand what your solutions are. Now, coming back to this story, or coming back to this notion about solving problems, if you understand the problem that someone has, then selling becomes very easy. How much is a glass of water worth? I've got one on my desk. I'm going to take a drink while you think about this question. Well, context matters. If you're in a desert and you're about to die, I'm vaguely quoting a story from Zig Ziglar, somebody might be willing to give you $1 million for a glass of water. If you're in a swimming pool or a lake, if I had to, I could drink it. So it depends. But understanding the problem that someone has makes solving it so much easier. If you didn't know this person was in a desert, you might go to them and offer, a sunscreen or suntan services, right? They don't need that. They need water. They need sunscreen. They need something to protect them. So understanding your customer's problems is fundamental to handling their objections. And in fact, as you go through, if you have asked those right questions, if you've had them communicate that, well, I'm struggling with social media, I'm not reaching the people, that when they come back around and say, well, I really want to focus on social, you say, that's great. Everything we do will help you grow your social media presence and other things, and you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to figure it out. We've got that for you. So I've gone sort of rapid fire through this. I hope this is something you can share with your sales teams and that you can share your questions or your feedback that you're getting from the marketplace. But the key here is really fundamentally understanding the value prop. I think most of our publishers who have a print product could espouse the virtues of a print ad and what the benefits are and why there's value and why it's different or better than the alternative. But they struggle with understanding how it fits in when it comes to digital, or they're failing to properly also promote the digital side of their business. If you're a digital-only publisher, you might really fixate on banner ads because that's the metric that's sort of so easy and so obvious, but you fail to realize that there's these other opportunities. So really invest in yourself and really invest in understanding what you have to offer of the menu, and then go out and use the solution sales approach to make it much easier for yourselves. If there's any that you'd like me to sort of briefly cover, I can do that now. As I went through, I really wanted to cut through the noise of what are they asking and get to what do they mean, because I think a lot of times we answer questions at face value, but we're polite people, right? No one really tells you to your face, I don't think there's any value here, or you've done a horrible job of showing me the value that I get. They say, I don't get it. They take it on themselves. So you need to be able to move past that to properly handle the objection. Well, for next week, we're going to talk about content strategy. We're going to revisit a few more options that you have and put together a plan that you can execute. If you're a news site, it's going to be talking about building on top of the news. News is fantastic, but you're not stuck with just news. And there's things you can do to make that go viral in a more comprehensive way. With that, that wraps up the actual objections component. But happy to answer any questions after Ryan turns off the recording.